All right, this is L. Jermaine Russell. It is May 12th, 2020. I am reviewing some stocks that I traded back last week for May 4th to the 8th of 2020. I'm a little bit behind on this video and a couple other videos, but particularly just because it was Mother's Day weekend and it was my father's birthday as well on the same day, which is also amazing. So, I want to shout out to all the mothers, you know, happy Mother's Day, and of course to my mother and my father, happy birthday. So, with that being said, I do want to go over a couple of stocks that I didn't do too well on because of my own personal behavioral issues when it comes to FOMO, and I'm realizing the past week and a half, um, I say more of a week, maybe 2 weeks, but more of a week. I've been having issues with trying to, I guess, this trade, just trying to jump in on a trade just because it's moving, and that's typically not me. That's typically not the approach that I go with. So I'm gonna show you some stocks that I traded, so you can really see and identify some of my behavioral mistakes, and in that way, when we reviewing, we can always, and when we are actually in a trade, we can see that some of these behavioral mishaps aren't always the best, and that it can deter you from really earning what you can earn. So I'm not going to go over Mark because Mark, I felt like, um, well, actually, let's go over Mark, right? So Mark was one of those interesting stocks that was related to, I think it was more Vegas, right? It was more of casinos. It had some deal with Caesars. I think it was Caesar's Palace or something like that. And it wasn't anything special. Like they had some ventilating system, or it was, it wasn't it wasn't anything. It was like a thermal solution, something that kind of helped. I'm like trying to look through the notes or look through the news. Let me look through my notes actually. I'll go through my notes. I have Remark Holdings, a tech company based on yep. So I traded, like I said, on the 6th. It's the reverse of my strategy, right? And I traded with a 17% short float, and I traded it 3 times, and I didn't trade it 3 times in this float on that day. Like all three EMAs cross over the VWAP, right? So I was taking notes on this. I saw that it was at a day high at 109, um, around 317, and I clearly identified some of the resistance points, and it was Win Resorts, not not Caesars. I think I was thinking of Little Caesars because I'm always eating and I'm always hungry. So surprisingly, I'm somewhat in shape. But essentially, I traded this, and yeah, I just couldn't take it anymore on the 8th. Right? It's just one of those stocks that just kept on. Even though it would fall back and pull back, it would start to ramp back up again. And like I said, it's the reverse of my strategy because we have the 50-day EMA, the 100 EMA, and then the 200 EMA. And typically, I like the reverse. I want the trading price to be above the 50 EMA because it goes a little bit higher. When the stock is trading over the 200 EMA, even though it might trade over it, you know, typically it will slam back down. And that's what kind of happened here. It kind of tried doing that here, and it definitely did that here. But here it couldn't because there was just enough volume to cause a stronger spike in the stock, which happened. There was a stronger spike. It almost reached $2. It got up to the 190-ish area, and this was one I just couldn't really trade like I wanted to, just because of all the fluctuations that it had. Right? So I bought it back here on Thursday, and I bought it a couple of times just because I knew that I felt like the news behind not just reopening, but yeah, not just with reopening with because of the coronavirus, but because of this actual product that's supposed to help out in the casino. It seemed like it was going to make it a lot better. It seemed like it was just something that was going to cause the stock to run up higher, and which it did. As we can see, this is now Monday, which happened, this trading day on the 11th. It did go a little bit higher. It actually went a whole lot higher, right? It went from, the nines, or the $1.09, $1.10, all the way up to almost $2. So it did run, and that's what I was trying to figure out back here. Like, if we're going to have strong days or strong candle hours, strong candlesticks, typically, if that strong candlestick is testing its previous resistance, which the previous resistance here was 103, then it should go higher, and it did. It actually, even though it was bouncing off that resistance, former resistance, now current support at 103 towards 107, it kind of held that, but it was still kind of trading a little bit higher. It did hold that 103 to 107 area, and then it started to ramp up, as you can tell. And I don't even know if there was any real news that came out on it for today, but it was one of those things that, even though this was probably more of a pump stock, and as you can tell, I really got in at 93, I think it was 93 cents. Got in at 93 cents. There you go. Got bought some here, and then I bought some here. And then I sold in the pre-market, just because I was just getting tired of it. I ended up selling, what was the price? Like 98 cents. So I really didn't make much on it, but I did make something, and it wasn't. What I made was more of understanding, when you have a stock like Mark, when it moves and it can trade like 3 or 4 times its volume, just know to sell into the strength. If the strength is going up, sell into it. Sell into the overbought. Sell into the resistance, because especially if it's going to break resistance, you know, once it starts running, it can run higher. So, selling maybe above resistance would allow the stock to give you a maximum profit. So, I know I'm talking a little bit slower today, a little bit tired. I was driving, and I'm just tired, but still, this was a really, really good learning lesson. So I just want to check a 5-day, 2-minute chart where we can get like a real clear assessment of how the stock was moving on the day. You see, so here, even though it's on 2 minutes, it's closest to one. So, when it comes to some of the EMAs and the VWAP, I kind of still use the negligible amount. There's a little buffer, a little give, with my strategy and how the price is affected by the VWAP. But here it still shows you plain and simple on the day. So we see that it came up to 109 on the previous trading day, which was at Wednesday. So that Wednesday it came all the way up here, and then it crashed. It actually came down. It found support in the 83-cent area. This is actually where I would have wanted to buy, but I wanted to also see that it was not only going to hold, but it was going to show some strength going on to the upside, and what it did. It showed some strength, and I bought. When it was coming back down. Then I bought some more. This is something that I've been doing. Like, I will buy more, and then not only will I buy more, but I will buy it at like probably the wrong time. Right? I bought some here. I think I said over here, but I bought some here at 98 cents. Sorry. So that left me with 600 shares of this. And the reason why I even bought is because it was trading above the VWAP. So the purple line is the VWAP. The VWAP is really that strong indicator that allows day traders to know the direction of the stock. If it's trading above the VWAP, it's typically bullish. If it's trading below the VWAP, it's typically bearish. Not only was the VWAP right here and below the traded price, but also the EMAs. The green line is the 50, the 200, the 100 is the yellow line, and the 200 is the red line, right? So with these EMAs and the VWAP, all three EMAs typically really started to cross over the VWAP. But the problem was when it was starting to break down, and when it was starting to break down, and that's when well, the traded price was underneath everything, the VWAP and the EMAs. Um, I did not sell here. Typically, just because it was holding support, and I felt like if it can hold over 80 cents, that's probably the I don't want to get out. That's probably one of the best entries to get into because it has potential of running. And then that it did. It went a little bit stronger before the close. Like about an hour and a half or so before the close. And then yeah, after that, it started to collapse into the after hours, and this is where I know that typically this stock just continues to be really, 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 really choppy. Um, Even though it can have massive run-ups, those run-ups do preclude um, or conclude, I should say. It does conclude with massive pullback, so you'll get a strong pullback. Even though here you didn't get a strong pullback, but you got all three EMAs crossing over the VWAP, which is what we want in all of our trades. Because then it can move higher, and that it did. It moved higher into even the after hours. So once I was able to identify support, resistance, where the stock is in relation to the VWAP, and what the technicals are, like the support, resistance, short sellers, the average volume, the volume on the day. Once you're able to assess all of those things, it makes it a little bit easier, and then you can be able to allow the stock to move or run its course based onto your strategy. So with this one, like I said, even though across all EMAs, um, on this is today, Monday. Back on Friday, it wasn't doing that. It was extremely choppy. You could say, like it went up, came back down, went up, came back down, and it wasn't really like a continuous move. And these moves, especially when they go up, come down, go up, come down, can get frustrating. Go down, come up, come up, come up, come up, come up, go down, come up, come up, come up, go down. So you can see how choppy this is. It doesn't have a really consistent flow that goes with it. So this is one of those stocks that you can literally, if you wanted to, just stuff whatever, how many shares you wanted to buy, just let it do its thing and come back to it. I look at the year chart because I want to know what it looks like in its entirety. And as you can tell, it's trading above the 200 EMA, the 100, and the 50. When anytime a stock price is trading above all three of these, just know it's going to come back. And it should come back to this 86 cents area. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it should happen. That's something that it typically will happen. Anytime a stock trades above the 200 EMA, it usually gets smacked back down. The RSI, the Relative Strength Index, is overbought. So this means that it has time before it comes down for a collapse. And then the same thing here with the MACD. It's the momentum factor. It's a idea of understanding the momentum of a stock as you are in the position. So Mark was a really good one, just to get a firm grasp on a stock that's really choppy. I typically don't get choppy stocks, so this was something that actually opened me up to something different. Even though that was a small one, I want to go to a bigger loss. So I bought and then sold. I actually lost a little over 80 cents a share on this, on 300 shares. And, you know, INSG, they came out with INSG, first off, is sorry, my brain is going dead. I'm pretty tired. Pretty much INSG is a 5G stock, right? So it's dealing anything with internet and software. It's been having a massive run up, as you can tell on by the year chart. The year chart is showing after its earnings, it started to run up high, right? After it ran up high, obviously it was overbought. The MACD says it was really strong, but it was starting to pull back, which it is. It's still doing that. It's still doing that pullback. And after it's been overbought, it's still trying to do some pullback. When I bought, let's do one of these. I'm sorry, I feel like my computer is so old sometimes. Yeah, so I bought this this prior to its earnings, which was horrible in itself, and I don't know what convinced me. I think this is where my greed in my within my behavior really got a hold of me, just because I knew that this stock was one that has ran up for so long, from the twos up into the 14s, I think it said. But because it ran up so much, um, during that time when earnings came, it pulled back. And when it pulled back, I was, like I said, I bought here. And this gray shaded area is the after hours, um, after the trading day. So this is the trading day. This is pre-market, where this dotted line is. This is pre-market. And on the other side of this vertical dotted line is after hours from the previous trading day, which would have been, um, what day was this? This was a Monday? No. Oh, what day that was? No, that was Tuesday. Sorry, it was Tuesday. So here, I say, I waited the whole day, and then finally earnings. And when I bought after it was starting to spike, and I was starting to buy some when it pulled back. I was anticipating it holding above the VWAP. That's one of the main reasons why I held it after that sharp pullback. Not only did it pull back, but it went lower. And when it went lower, you know, I said, hey, let me buy some more so I can, like, lessen my average to something a little bit more suitable. That didn't help my case, and I had a couple of times to sell it. I could have just sold what I had and just try to break even, but I didn't do that for some odd reason. I wanted to be a glutton for pain, and watch the stock tumble all the way down to the 1060s before I actually sold. Um, so, and as we can see, is all three EMAs are on the opposite side of the VWAP. Um, I didn't see the 50 EMA cross over the VWAP, nor the 200 or the 100. That was just not something that I saw. But it does still have potential because it's a 5G stock. 5G is really starting to have some emergence. So this is something that I would definitely keep on my watch list, just to make sure that I can be able to grab some a percentage gain this because of this stock itself. So this was this one. We know, do not buy during earnings. Do not buy during earnings. Wait until after the earnings have been released. There's something within my behavior that's making me test the market to say, hey, I dare you, and that's not fun. So I dared it, and the dare was accepted, and I lost. Right, I lost a little under 300. It was like 250, 275, something like that. So I learned my lesson from there. Let's go on to the next one. Let's put this back on the year chart, and there was GNMK. GNMK is I'm sorry, I'm just trying to fix it real quick. GNMK. Um, wait. So okay, I was about to say I thought I had notes on you. What happened? It's a molecular diagnostic company that develops commercializing molecular panels based on proprietary e-sensor electrochemical detection technology. Um, so essentially, it's something that's just you know, there to kind of sense your electrochemical reactions. So in your body, you have nerves, you have different ions that help potentiate um, conductivity between nerve cells, right? So with these nerve cells, apparently Genmark came out with an instrument that can help not only test this, but also give some real time diagnostic. So it can be able to test for what is it? Oh, used for the respiratory viral panel, right? And this is in cystic fibrosis patients. Um, so, even though that this one was up on the day when I bought it, I didn't date this, but even though it was up on the day when I bought it, and it was up actually for several days, it was only bound to come back down. It was up. So even after earnings, when earnings is released for a stock that's been, you know, this is an hour chart. No, this is 30 minutes. I'm sorry. This is an hour chart. This is the hour chart, right? You see the spike back here, and it came back, and it came down. But this is when earnings, the first earnings was. After this earnings, it went up, came down, and it just kind of just rode the wave all the way up from the threes to 13, almost 14. There was that pullback, and that pullback was when I bought, right? So I bought and I did not buy at the right time. I bought particularly at that wrong time. Um, so when it came, when I bought here, I bought here at 12.55, and look, what did it do? It came up to 13. So I was buying at the right place, but I just didn't clearly identify the previous resistance. So as you can see, the resistance is here. We have resistance here. We have resistance here. So I didn't really take heed of that resistance. And as you can tell, even today, it's still kind of fighting that resistance at $13. But once I saw that it wasn't going to go any higher, I just had to get out. As you can tell on the hour chart, you can see that big red solid candle, but on the intraday chart, it's slightly different, right? On the intraday chart, you just kind of see that it tested that 13 or 13, well not 13, but 12.85, close to $13 during the pre-market. But once the market opened, it crashed. So it wasn't something that you would anticipate, but what we should still have some type of understanding, or you say, okay, I can see that there is resistance here because I was able to identify the previous resistance from before. And since the previous resistance from before says $13 is resistance, maybe I should sell at 12.90 or whatever that, whatever prices that might show up on the level two. So now we know that $13, where are we? On the year chart is resistant. Well, yeah, there's resistance there. So over here, there's support, because this is it right there. This is all support, but over here is resistance. So if I was able to identify that earlier, then this would be less of a loss for me and probably more of a gain. I should go over one more, right? I think LPTH, CODX. I think MVIS is a good one to go over. And this was another choppy stock, kind of like Mark. Mark, Mark and Mavis, MVIS, they both had some really great potential, and I still think they do, but they're way too manipulative. Their price actions or their volatility is way much more than I really want. Even though I want to start to go higher, um, I still also don't want to be staring at my screen for the whole day. And that is what happened with MAVS, because it goes up and comes down, goes up, comes down. You see this? It went up. It spiked up high. It spiked up pretty damn high. Um, but it came right back down. And just like what I said with Mark, right? Same thing with MVIS, Mavis. The EMA, the 200 EMA, 100 EMA, and the 50 EMA is one over the other. Right? So the spike that happened was only going to slam the price back to the 200 EMA, which it did. Once again, let's go back to Mark. Let's see what it looks like on Mark, right? So not only did it cross over there, but anticipate on Tuesday that it will come back down close to the 200 EMA. I think, which one had another one that was kind of similar to that? It wasn't CODX. But anyway, that's just a key indicator, just to have an idea of once the stock is trading above the 200 EMA price, anticipate the stock to come back to that price, right? So, you know, I missed this stock. Like I said, came out with earnings, bought it before earnings, didn't identify the $13 resistance, and lost money the next day, selling at in the tens, right? 1080, 1060. So, you know, I will always say just be careful when you trade, and just keep in mind that you're not going to have the chance to trade everything. I only went over, what, three stocks. I went over MVIS, Mark, and GNMK. Those are probably like my and INSG, right? INSG, GNP, Mavis, and Mark, right? I went over those three. So, you know, we kind of anticipate Mavis being that type of erratic stock, right? And this one was very erratic. It came out with earnings on the 8th, which was that Friday. But, you know, like I said, this is Monday. This is on Monday. This is after hours on Monday. So let's go back to the initial time that I bought, which was, this is when I sold, and I sold right before that spike. So let's go to the hour chart, past 180 days on the hour, and this will be the last one because I am exhausted. As you can see here, we bought some here at 142, and then I bought another one at 141. And you probably really can't tell how choppy it is off the hour chart, but if I tell you, it was very, very choppy. It was so choppy that I said, you know what, forget it, I'm out. And I sold, what, 13 cents later. Didn't really, you know, really make much on it. And it's really just because of the fact that it was that choppy. And I did it again, you know, with Mark. I sold it way too soon just because it was way too choppy, and it was more of a headache to deal with than for me than to be patient with and wait. And so that's something. Patience is something that I'm really, 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 really going to work on, because it doesn't make any sense that I don't have that much patience, and I'm ready just to, you know, throw it all away. To get out of a stock. I shouldn't say throw it all away because I'm not like gambling here. I'm just trying to, you know, get better entries and find out better information on these companies, because they all have almost sometimes the similar chart, but it's their news that separates them. So with MVIS, they were making some high-tech glasses for their physicians during this coronavirus. You know, what the glasses actually really did, I can't say. I'm not a big. No, I'm not saying that I know, but another thing that really got my attention was that it needed to in their filings, right? It said they need to maintain $1 or 50 million dollar market value on the Nasdaq, and I think they have up until, you know, pretty much the end of the year to do that. It was either October or December. I could be confusing it with another company. I didn't write it down, but either way, they're supposed to have, you know, they're supposed to have their share price above $1. So I'm anticipating this to be over $1 at some point or another. Just not right now. But like I said, it was so choppy. Can I say it was so choppy? It was so choppy. Makes no sense. So, and once again, I bought over, once it was crossing over the VWAP, I figured that was the opportunity to really buy. And this was today. This was Monday, the actual 12th. Um, let's see how far I can go back. Here, I still, even though it was trading over the VWAP, I still sold here just because I thought it was going to do this. And I thought it was, you know, after this happened, I was like, oh, it's going back down. I thought it was going to do it again and then go down further. But it didn't do it during the pre-market. It did it during the actual trading day. So let's always take mindful, right? So there's a couple of things I want to make sure that we all understand, or I just really just verbalize it out loud. There are several indicators that are effective in this strategy, effective in trading altogether, and the biggest one is really identifying support and resistance. Once the support and resistance is found, it's easier to maneuver and say, hey, I want to buy this here, or I want to sell it there, or what have you. So I think that doing those things will always, always, always be very helpful if you can identify your support and resistance. Um, the last thing, right? Well, not last thing, but the next thing is as I get mm-mm, as I get my own my own article out. And like I say, if you go into LinkedIn, you will see my article, and I actually talk about these things there. But essentially, the very next thing that I look for, and I, even though I probably don't know it off the top of my head right now, this is something that I always focus on. Is price. You got to know what the price is. You got to know if the shares that you're about to buy is really effective for that stock, right? If you have only, have enough money to only buy um, 5 shares of $100 stock, your return, you might have identified a great pattern, but your return on investment is going to be a lot smaller because you didn't have much to invest in the first place. So, having knowing what that price is, so you can be able to get a share amount that or share size that will help you um, earn after you've identified the pattern that you're looking for, will be very, very helpful. um, and then the 5% return. So like if it's trading above trading at least 5% on the day, then we know that hey, it's going to go a little bit higher. This stock, well, today it was trading at 8%. That was another reason why I wanted to get in, and also that's why um, it was trading higher in the after hours. But when it came to MVIS, when I sold it particularly because it was just coming, the VWAP and all the EMAs were coming way too close, and I wasn't seeing the 200. That's the key indicator. The 200 EMA cross over the 50. If I can get the 200 EMA to cross over the 50, um, 9 times out of 10 it's just going to go higher, because that is an actual technical indicator, where it's called the golden cross, and I like that. The golden cross is probably one of the most efficient technical indicators that I have seen, because it always will go higher if the 200 crosses over, if the 50 crosses over the 200. If the 200 crosses over the 50, that's usually a bearish indicator, meaning that that stock is going to go down further. Um, and that's what happened, right? The 50 crossed, or the 200, well, the 200 is higher than the 50, right? So the 200, 150. On here, the 50 was already ready to cross below the 200, and it went down, right? If the 50 were to cross over the 200 going on the upside, then that's the golden cross. I forgot what on the downside, what this downside means. And you see this on, it's not golden cross obviously, but it's something cross. Um, Probably like, you know, skull and bones cross. I don't know, but essentially once it found support, and it found support at 150, and we can see it here, from here, maybe a little bit here, maybe a little, but definitely here, maybe a little bit here, but definitely here. Once we were able to identify support, it was testing support quite a couple of times. That's like 5 or 6 times before it actually collapsed. And because it was trading below its VWAP, this is something that you got to be, I have to be more careful of. When it's trading below the VWAP, and all the EMAs are below the VWAP, the probability of it being the price going lower, is because of all that activity below the VWAP. So, and you can see what it did, right? It came all the way down to 97 cents. I was already out. I didn't even want no parts of it, because I feel like this is what, it was going to do something of this nature. It was trading way too much on the day. I think it was like 3 or 4 times its float. Now, when you're trading that much, when a stock is trading that much, it does cause problems, right? Because it's physics. When you add too much air into a balloon, the balloon pops, right? But if you add just enough, then the balloon stays full, and it doesn't get fat, right? It doesn't blow up. So on On this day when this spike happened, it traded 268 million, and then on the next day it traded less than half of that, right? 87 million, and then 84 million, then 83 million, and then now what? 58 million. So it's slowly finding its way back down. Um, and when it finds its way back down like that, it's looking to find support, and it's looking to find a way to keep the price where it is. And that's what happened. It kept the price where it is, and it did do some bounce. But the MACD does say that it is running low on steam, and it might actually cross and come on the downside, which will be to my dismay. And then also with the RSI, sorry, I was looking at the level two, but also with the RSI, it was overbought, and now it's not, but it's just kind of trending bearish. I mean bullish. When stocks are starting to come down like this, anticipating this to do the same. Um, it's just how it is. Like it's just, once these two lines start crossing, that this top line crosses over, or yeah, over the bottom line, and it will trend down. It will start to trend down, and it'll go lower, and there's nothing you can really do about that. And the RSI will follow suit. So I think that's a good place to stop, just because I gave you two that are really choppy, or a mark, and still anticipating this to do something. I don't know what, I don't know how, I don't know what potential that it might have, but it still will do something just because of its news and everything that's related with casinos and gambling and stuff like this. And this is supposed to have technology that's working with, working with the casinos, particularly Wins Resorts. Why not? Why not keep it in your watch list? MVIS, with the glasses and stuff like that. For the physicians, I could see it, being helpful, but or is it any other difference from what it does, right? Um, for any other difference than from the other glasses, I should say, because it just does what it does. So I am watching this, as you can tell, it's up after hours overnight. So I'm going to see what happens with this. GNMK, remember, this was a genetic marker, genetic molecule examining company. So when they came out with their, when they came out and it was trading, and it was right after their earnings and everything like that, it didn't really break their $13, and it came back down, and I had to sell, even though it came right back up. A couple of days later, it's still, I'm sorry, I didn't click on the chart. I'm so bad, so bad at this. So this was the MVIS. Like I said, we see this. Remember the 200 EMA. Even though it shoots up there, it will get shot back down, right? And that's what happened here. And then we said GNMK. GNMK is wow. This looks pretty decent right here. Like it can do something tomorrow. But this is what I like. You see, all the EMAs are below the stop price, and the 50, the 100, and 200 are all in sequential order. There's not a lot of selling here, not a lot of selling. So, when the MACD is, it lost all of its momentum and it's trying to get some back, we still want to keep in mind of how momentum can shift the stock. And then there is INSG. Like I said before, INSG, I bought this just because it has been running for so long, and then I thought I was going to be able to get in once it called its earnings, and I got in and lost money because you're never supposed to buy a stock before earnings. Always, if you can, just wait until the dust settles and you can find support and be able to buy in, because all the technicals matter to you, right? So those are my four stocks, the ones that I lost money on. Everything else was pretty much, it was pretty much decent. LPTH, I did pretty well on that one. Let me try to zoom out. All right, and probably more than likely I traded this on my Robinhood account. CODX was another favorite of mine, and it's still a favorite of mine, and it still should do something tomorrow. Um, you can't get any better when you sell. up into here. Let me see, where am I? I really wish I. Hold on. My computer's freezing. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. There we go. No, so because the account had executed transactions restricted from day trades, I believe it was a great setup in the morning. I saw how it was at 1180. The pre-market weakness made me believe it was going to come down. I put down significantly, but instead I sold for a small loss. Then I rebought with the price average of 13.21, currently down 80 cents a share. Last comment, last comment. I did see several people on Twitter suggesting that they would short it, so that's another reason why I sold. This is a low flow stock, and it's showing support at 12.55, right? So it was in the 11s, and now it's at 17. And I'm not sure. This was back in April, so that was back in April. So let's come back to May. In May, I sold in the pre-market at 14.30. And I remember I rebought it at 15.50, and I had several times to sell it, but I didn't. And then once I actually sold it, I sold at 14.30. Right? No, I sold at 14.30. Where did I buy? So let me just investigate real quick. I'm losing it. This exhausted, but see, nope. So what was it? I have 40 shares here, but that's not on the day. I must have bought this on my Robinhood account and did not notify myself that I bought it on my Robinhood account, so it won't show up on this chart. But you can see how many times I bought and sold this thing. CODX is going to be one of those stocks that's going to be really instrumental when it comes to this coronavirus. So this is something that you should definitely keep on the watch list as well. AHPI did well on that one. I was able to sell at 1266. This was just one other way. What did it look like again? 1122. So this was one where I saw the support and I just sold into strength, and that's typically all you want to sell into strength. APT. I know I sold it, but did I buy it on? I must have bought it on. I must have bought it on my Robinhood account. Yep, bought this on my Robinhood account, a bit higher than I wanted to because I use a market order. Currently trading just above the VWAP. With heavy resistance at 15. And then I sold at 14.10 just because it was going lower. So I even cut my loss quickly on this one. So even though I bought a little bit higher, I lost 40 cents a share, but I cut my loss. I didn't allow it to run like I did with INSG. I didn't allow it to run like it did with GNMK. So I was able to, just maintain. So that's all I got. I wish I had more. I'm pretty much tired, but I think this is a good stopping point. Like I said, we looked at Mark, we looked at MVIS, and we looked at GNMK and INSG, just because those are the stocks that I lost. I lost on, and because I lost on those are the ones I should learn with. The other ones like LPTH, CODX, MVIS, AHPI, GNPX, VUZI, which continue to do well, GOLD, and NLTX. I pretty much did well on those, but I know where my weaknesses are, and my weakness is just the behavioral part, not buying after 10:20 or 10:15. Not even worrying about that. Just buy at a most reasonable time, which is typically, you know, when the market is about to close. So I like it when the market closes. I can just sell into the next day, and wait until 2:30 again and buy something that has potential for the next day. So that's it. Now this is it. I am not talking anymore. I'm going to go to sleep because I am tired. I'm exhausted. I've been talking for 45 minutes and I didn't even know. So thank you for listening. If you did, hopefully I wasn't too boring. If you can leave a comment or any questions below, particularly about the VWAP, or if you just want to have a discussion about, stocks and squats, just mention anything on the comment section below. Until we talk again next time, study well, look at your candlestick charts, and really follow your plan to the T.